Hi there and welcome. My name is Mike and welcome to Osaterix Yoga. At Osaterix, we believe that age is an asset, and our yoga program is designed to help you live life with a little bit more ease. And today's practices, I think, is going to be a great one. We're going to focus on yoga for balancing, and I think we all know the importance of balancing, particularly as we age, falls and all of that. So we're going to focus today's practice on some core poses that'll help with stability and allow us to maybe balance a little bit more. So for today's practice, if you have a chair, that would be nice. You don't have to have a chair, but for balancing poses, we might just want to hold on for a moment. So that's totally optional for you, okay? The other thing I would tell you is that this is a practice. So I'm only suggesting some ideas and some poses for you, but if it's not feeling right, or it's too awkward, or it's too hard, or it's not hard enough, back off or just take a break and reassess where you are. That's what this is all about. So ultimately, a yoga practice is being mindful of what's happening to our body and our mind. Particularly when we move into the balancing poses, our mind plays a really important part of that. Okay, so let's get going. So let's start in mountain pose, Tadasana. So in mountain pose, you've probably been here before. We kind of stand nice and tall, maybe palms are open. I love to start the practice with my toes kind of lifted and spread, and then re-engage them on the mat. So really feel a nice core, stable, my feet all the way up to my body. Kind of my arms are out, and my shoulders are kind of relaxed, but they're strong. Maybe bring your shoulder blades together a little bit. Eyes can be open or closed. And we take a few moments just to connect with our breath. Generally speaking, for this practice, we breathe in and out through the nose, but if there's any issues breathing through the nose, of course, just breathe through your mouth. So we take that moment to have awareness of our breathing, not so much to control the breath, but just awareness of the breath. For our yoga practice, we really like to lead with the breath. So the body follows the breath, not the breath following the body. That makes sense to you. So we start to become aware of that rhythmic breathing. Inhaling, feeling the diaphragm moving down, pushing the belly out a bit. And then exhale, perhaps a slight softening of the body. And then we start to add some simple movements to this breath. Next breath in, inhale, arms reach up high over your head. Exhale, release down. Inhale, arms reaching all the way up. Exhale, down. Breath in and breath out. Continue doing a few more. It's a nice way to wake up the body, get the breath aligned with that movement. And from here, we're going to add on. So when I breathe in, I'm going to start to shift the weight to my tiptoes, lifting my heels off the floor. So you can try that. Maybe one or both will work for you today. So next breath in, I lift up my heels. Exhale, down. Breath in. Maybe those ankles are a little wobbly, that's okay. Exhale, down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. We'll do one more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Now the next one, we're going to lift. We're going to hold that, but not hold our breath. So inhaling, exhaling. My heels are lifted. Breath in. Breath out. Feel a little wobbly in my ankles, which is what we want to strengthen them. Stay consistent with your breath. If this is too much for you, you can always come down. Really great for your calf muscles. Something we don't really focus too much on are our ankles and our calves, but they're so important for when we are balancing. One more breath in, and exhale, reach down. Come back to that mountain pose, arms by your side, eyes open or closed, and reconnect with that breath. That simple movement, perhaps you can feel the blood flowing a little bit faster through your body. Maybe you can even feel your heart beating just a bit. So we're going to add on from here. Inhaling, arms up high, my knees are softening. And then exhale, I'm going to sink back into chair pose. You might be familiar with this pose. We'll hold that for a little bit here. So ideally, you shift the weight towards your heels, so your toes might be nice and light. Of course, you're breathing as best you can. And you may notice that my arms are like goalpost arms. Now, my arms are not all the way up here. That's because my shoulders, if I bring all the way up, it's going to kind of put a crink in my shoulders, which is not what I want. I want to keep the focus down to my core here. That's really where our strength and stability comes with. So you can play with that, decide if you want your arms up or you want them sort of like goalpost arms here. Breathing in and out, starting to feel some heat generating in your thighs. One more breath in. And as you exhale, we'll start to forward fold. Soften your knees. Maybe your fingers can touch the floor, your mat. Shaking your head yes, and shaking it no, or rolling your neck around. And let's just come back to that nice forward fold. Now, I'm going to move my feet a little wider, maybe about hip width distance. And I'm going to come up to that halfway lift, kind of a lengthening my spine here. Stay connected with that breath. And my next breath in, I'm going to reach all the way up. And then exhale, I'm going to bend my knees. My arms are going to come forward, breathing in. And exhale, I start to come down, but I'm going to lift my heels and come down to a little bit of a squat here. I'll show you from the side. So if you're able to come down, you could play with this pose to see how deep you want to go. Deeper isn't necessarily better, but in this case, you can see if I go deeper, it's a little less stable, so I'm kind of working my ankles and my calf muscle here. But if you need to come up a little higher, that's absolutely fine too. Just stay connected with that breath and maybe find a spot on the floor, maybe 4 or 5 feet in front of you. You can stare at that spot. It's a nice way to help you get some stability here. Breathing as best you can, starting to feel that in your thighs. We won't stay here too long. One more breath in, and then exhale, release, forward fold. Take a breath or two down here. Now inhale, hands come onto your shins, squeezing your shoulder blades together, noticing that your spine lengthens. Rhythmic breathing in and out to the nose as best you can. Breath in, exhale, forward fold. I'll come forward here. Inhale, soften your knees, arms reach all the way up high. And then exhale, if you like, you can bring your hands to heart center, breathing in. And a full release, breathing out. So we take a moment or so between these poses to just let that pose set in. Really get the benefit of that squat. You can feel maybe your breathing is a little bit pushed a bit, if that's the right word, but it's actually nice. You can feel the blood flowing, you can feel your heart beating, you can feel it getting into the routine. So now, if you have your chair, you might want to have it nearby, because we're going to try a little balancing poses here. Okay, so I'm going to shift the weight to my, left leg. So my right knee softens. And you can stay that. When you soften that knee, you could probably feel that calf muscle engage. But if we want to go on, we simply start to lift up that knee, and it doesn't matter how long you lift it or how high you lift it. Stay connected with your breath. Again, find a point of concentration a few feet in front of you. If you feel you're wobbly, that's why we have that chair. One more breath in, and exhale, release it out. And we'll go right to the opposite side. So I'm going to shift the weight to my right leg. My left knee softens. You can stay right here. Again, your body, you decide what you want to do. If you like, you can lift up your knee. Hold on to that chair if you feel you're not stable enough. This is where the breath and mindfulness become so important. Because when our mind starts to wander, we fall out of the balance. And that happens in everyday life. Find ourselves wandering, our mind wandering, and we might trip, we might fall, and by keeping focused awareness of our breathing and what's happening at the present moment, we can help alleviate some of that. And then release down, arms by your side. So we'll just add a little bit from there. So again, use that chair as you need to. Weight to the left side, right knee softens. When you're ready, you can lift up that leg. Notice my foot is flexed. So I'll go sideways so you can see that. My foot's flexed. And now I'm just simply going to come forward and up. Straighten that leg up and up again. The chair is there to be used if you need it. Breath, align, movement. Inhale, I lift. Exhale, I straighten. One more here. Exhale, inhale up, and if you like, you can give it a little bit of squeeze. Exhale down, arms by your side. Full breath in. Just let it all go. I love to have a release between poses so we don't hold any tension or frustration between these poses. Okay, we'll shift to the opposite side. Weight to the right side, left knee softens, and when you're ready, lift. And then you can straighten, breath align movement, so let the breath lead the way. Don't just move your leg forward and backwards. It's probably one of the biggest lessons we can learn from any kind of yoga practice is breath align movement. Certainly we can see the benefit in a balancing poses, but it helps in every pose that we start with the breath, not start with the body. A couple more here. Exhale, lengthen, inhale up, exhale, lengthen, and inhale up. A little bit of a squeeze if you're able to. It's okay to hold on to that chair. One more breath in, exhale, release, arms down by your side. Full breath in. So remember, you can take a break anytime you like. I'm just showing you some suggestions, so you have to pick and choose what works for your body today and what works, for your practice. So let's move on. We're going to keep adding on from what we've been building on, this balancing pose. So we're going to move to eagle pose. So eagle pose, soften your knees as you're breathing in, up, and then exhale, my right arm comes underneath, and I just give myself a little squeeze. Now, if you've been practicing a long time and you don't have huge biceps, you can bring your palms together. But that's really not what this is all about. So we're going to get into what it's all about. And that's the balance in the core. So either way, either hug your shoulders, find that point of concentration out in front of you, and now that right leg kind of softens and it reaches over. And we can start with your toe on the floor. You're here, see if you can maybe squeeze your knees together. Calming yourself down with the breath. Now, if you feel you're stable and you want to lift that toe up, you can think about doing that. As you do, you can notice the wobbles, the balance needed on that left leg. Isolating that left calf and ankle, strengthening that while we have focused breathing. Just a couple more breaths here. And then slowly unwind, arms up, leg releases, reach all the way up high. Exhale, release down, arms by your side. Once again, full breath in. moment to let that last pose settle in. I just love the progression of our practice as you can feel your body, maybe your state of mind change as we go deeper into the practice. Let's go to the opposite side. Inhale, arms up high, knees soften. This time I'll go sideways. My left arm comes underneath, I bend my knees, hugging my shoulders, or again, option to bring your palms together, but again, if you need to default to something, I would hug your shoulders. Knees are softened, finding that point of concentration. In this case, that left leg is up, crosses over, toe starts on the mat or the floor. Connect with that breath, and then option to lift that toe. If you feel like you want to bend that right knee a little more, you can do that, but this is really not that important. Let's try to keep those knees squeezed together, feeling the balance in your ankle and your calf. And when you're ready, very slowly, we can release your arms, release your legs. Arms reach all the way up high. Exhale, arms down by your side. Once again, full breath in, full breath out. Okay, so let's continue to add on. So we'll do a classic yoga pose called airplane. You may have already done this before. Have your chair nearby if you're new to this or need a little bit more support. So once again, we're going to shift the weight to that left leg, soften your right knee. We've been here before. Arms by your side. Inhale, lifting that knee up. Use that chair as you need to. And then eventually, we're just going to float that lifted leg back and arms come out nice and wide like an airplane. Maybe a little bit of an up dog in your chest. And then just check in. Maybe you can feel your fingers just spread a little bit for strength. Maybe bring your shoulder blades together. Breathing. If this is too much, please use your chair, or you can certainly put your leg down. I'll show you on the side. So breathing as best we can. Breath is key for these balancing poses. Hopefully you're starting to become aware. Just a couple more breaths here. And then slowly let's come up. Arms by your side. Inhaling, reach all the way up high. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Breath in and release, breath out. So we'll switch to the opposite side. So you may need to move the chair to the other side if you need to. In this case, the weight shifts to our right leg. Left knee softens, arms by your side. When you're ready, breathing in, that knee lifts. Find that point of concentration, breath awareness. And only when you're ready, you can float that lifted leg back into airplane. Just as you need to, use your chair. That lifted leg can certainly come down on the mat. Just a few more breaths here. If you're falling out of the pose, check in with yourself. If you're getting frustrated, just kind of smile, just shut it off. And slowly let's come up with a breath in. Exhale, arms down by your side. Inhale, reach all the way up high. Exhale, hands to heart center. Full breath in. And exhale, releasing back to mountain pose. Onward and upward. So we're going to move into tree pose. So many variations of tree pose. We'll start with the left leg again, shifting the weight to the left leg, the right knee softens. So we'll start with the kickstand. You can just have that heel sort of right above your ankle, arms down by your side. If you've been doing this a while and you want to try lifting up a little higher, you can do that. Of course, you can have your chair. And if you want to go above the knee joint, that's an option too, but there's no real reason you have to do that. A lot of wobbles here, and some people like to add branches to their tree. That's fine. Maybe you can feel the breeze going through your arms as we move round and round. Some people like to take their arms behind their back. A little more of a challenge here. Anytime we add movement to a balance, you'll notice it's a challenge. So these are things you can explore on your own when you're in tree pose or even some of these other poses. Add a little movement and notice what that does. Challenge to your breath, to your balance, stability. It's all good to be practicing those kinds of things. One more breath in. Exhale, release your hands, release your legs. Full breath in, full release out. We'll go right to the opposite side. So, shift the weight to the right leg, arms by your side, left leg comes into kickstand, any variation of tree. So you can stay right here. Don't feel pressure to lift that leg up. Or any variation that you feel is right for you today. And then any hand variation that works for you today. And then slowly release your arms, release your legs, releasing that breath. Inhaling, exhaling. Okay, so we've been building and building. One last standing pose before we finish up in mountain pose. We're going to come back to where we started, but we're going to add on. So the chair is good to have. In this case, I'm shifting the weight to my left leg, bending that right knee, softening that right knee. Option to lift that knee up. So we did this the earlier part of the practice. So this is fine to stay right here. Maybe notice the stability of your ankle. But if you'd like to explore this, particularly if you have a chair nearby, we can think about our knee staying forward, and then we start to twist at the waist. So I'm starting to turn to the right side. And notice what I mentioned before, if we add movement to our balance, what a challenge that is. So, starting to take that gaze towards the right side, really a challenging pose. So please back off or don't get so frustrated. It's something we can work towards, but it's an awesome pose to work on our balance here. And what a great place to work on your balance is in a yoga practice where things should be safe. And then slowly come back. There we go. Okay, full breath in. Whew, let's let that one go. Okay. All right, just the opposite side. So now shifting the weight to my right leg, left knee softens, and we're ready. We can lift up that knee. We can start by finding a point of concentration, but we know that point's going to shift as we start to turn. So very slowly is better. We can find a point on the ground or on the side wall so our eyes are not jumping all over the place. We can calm our mind down, awareness of our breath, even while we know that standing leg is working hard. Just a couple more breaths here. And slowly, let's come back. Inhale, arms reach up over your head. Exhale, hands to heart center. Full breath in and release. Full breath out, back to mountain pose. So we're going to spend the next 2 minutes or so in mountain pose, just letting all these standing poses kind of settle in. You can keep your eyes open or closed. Either way, let's come back to breath awareness. And as you do that, perhaps you can find a calmness here from moving the body and using the breath to calm yourself down. Perhaps you can do a very gentle body scan. Just kind of scan the body, noticing as you stand, and perhaps noticing any areas where you're feeling maybe a little tension. Just try to soften that with your breath. More than anything in this pose, we're just trying to let all these previous poses settle into our body. So the beauty of our yoga practice is that these poses are cumulative, meaning that there's a benefit in each one of these poses. But when we put them together, we might be able to find something a little deeper, whether it's physically or maybe inside of us, to find some type of equanimity as we go about our daily life. We can release any kind of control over the breath. We start to observe that the body wants to come back to its natural state. If you really pay attention, you might feel your heartbeat starting to slow down just a little bit. But still, hopefully feeling a sense of an energetic field within you. So we're going to end our practice here. If you are in a great place and you want to continue, by all means, please do. But just recognize that it's your practice, so to get any real benefit out of a yoga practice, it's really important to continue to practice, whether it's this particular practice or any other practice, is to work on our breath and mind-body movement. We'll see a big benefit over time. Until then, I will see you next time. Again, thank you so much, and my name is Mike.